Hello, this is my basic guide to Icebox. Going to start off with the macro and then we'll talk about what agents to play. So I'm going to basically divide Icebox up into its most impactful parts. So these two boxes are quite important to Icebox, if you're going A especially. The reason why is because attackers generally want to take this box with as little time and util spent as possible. And they want to use as much util and resources on this box to take it as they need to, and then they want to have play post plant, is essentially how attackers want to play. Defenders will want to contest this box to waste as much time and to use as much util from the attackers as possible. So what they'll do is they'll have lines here with operators. Generally, attackers will take this line, but they'll sometimes have to use some things to push them off these lines. Sometimes you'll see players like defenders move up into this position across the rope quite stealthily if they're possible and try and get some dumb kills essentially, or some 1v1s or something like that. You'll also see jets and not jets, well mostly jets do it, but you'll see neons and razes take this type of line where they'll try and get onto belt and contest belt. You'll see silver darts come in to help them do that and that kind of stuff. So you'll see a lot of util gets used from defense to try and push them back a bit, or just in general duels being taken to try and push them back a bit or to waste more time. And this is quite important way to play A, in my opinion. And generally, as a result, you'll see a lot of players be over here. So you'll generally see 3, maybe 2 defenders, not 32 defenders. You'll see 3 or 2 defenders in this sort of region, generally. And I'll talk about that when I actually sort of end off the macro. B is fairly similar. So B main and A main are basically the same in that sense, where what happens is the defenders will try and waste as much time and util as possible for the attackers in this spot. They won't have as much to get this spot, and as a result, they won't be able to play post plant as efficiently as well. So generally, you'll see operators on this here taking these types of lines. You'll also see a deep line here too being taken by an operator. Maybe you'll have a judge in some of these close angles. There's going to force a drone from here. It's going to force a dart over here somewhere to be used, and then they won't have it over here and that kind of stuff, right? It's going to just eventually, it'll take more and more time to take this spot and take more util to take this kind of position, and then they won't have as much util for the actual site. So from a defense perspective, what's going on here, right? We're going to test main ideally, right? We're going to test some of these mains, right? And generally we're going to be looking to delay a lot. So we're going to have Viper stuff set up here with Molly coming down. We might have some shocks. We're going to have shocks on A potentially as well. So we're looking to delay a lot because post plant is quite difficult for the defenders generally. Or at least it's a lot harder because there's lots of places to play on A, especially there's elevations and that kind of stuff. There's post plant util mollies going on the bomb, so it's really hard to defuse. Also on B as well, if you just plant a bit outwards, so if you have a sage wall like this or something, sometimes you can plant like this, or you can plant deeper into site, and these lines become really, really strong for attackers then. So there's plenty of reasons why defenders do not want to be in a post-plant situation on this map. Ideally, right? There's not really, either site is not really that good for you. B site is better than A, to be fair, but yeah, it just sucks both ways. So we'll talk about mid. So mid in general is going to be the better place to have impact on if you're a lurker, right? This is obviously not, this is not always the case, obviously, but generally as a lurk, you get a lot of value on Icebox from going mid, because there's a couple of things that happen in mid. So you can put a Viper Orb here, and then it completely obscures which way you're going to choose, right? So you can go into tube, you can go orange, you can go mid. And obviously to the orange player, they can't see if you go mid. To the mid player, they can't see if you go orange, they can't see if you go tube. The kitchen, they're playing kitchen, they can maybe see if you go orange, but they can't see if you go mid very easily. This window might alleviate that, but I don't think it really does. But yeah, the window is something else, it's pretty crazy. It allows this mid player to kind of watch the tube. I think is the main reason why it exists. But essentially the reasons are still the same, is that you would be able to hear the rotations and call for your own team's rotations. So you sit here, you hear any rotations, so off the pressure that your team is making, and you can call for them to rotate to the freer site, basically. Is how you kind of see mid. Obviously it allows you to do more plays than that too, but from a really basic perspective, calling for team rotations is really, really strong for the lurker on Icebox. And then you can also catch the the enemy rotators off guard from you being in advanced position, so your teammates will be ahead on the rotation, they'll be able to plant, and you'll be able to kill rotators, like maybe through the window, maybe in kitchen, generally in kitchen in the past, but with this window existing, it's a bit harder because you can't really cross here very easily as much anymore. So yeah, that's it for the macro. So now we'll talk about the viable agents. Okay, so I've laid out all the agents like this, just to make it a bit more streamlined. And we're going to go over the core first, then we go over ranked, and then we'll just touch on these ones. The first, Viper. Viper's really strong at delaying plants, both plants and diffuses. So she's really good in post. She's really good like when delaying the attacking team from planting. She's really good in those situations. She has toxic screen that is really efficient when taking the B site usually. So this box here, it's not bad on A as well, but generally she's got a very efficient ability in that toxic screen. What would be multiple spokes for other operators, other agents. She's only using one toxic screen. Also, she can keep putting it up and down, so she can lurk through B main with it, or send a lurk through B main with that toxic screen. So it can be really, really strong, really, really oppressive. A poison cloud also doubles up as a way to lurk too, as she can lurk in any of these choke points with this poison cloud. It's really, really strong. She can also have the ult as well, which is a strong on post plant too. She's just very, very strong agent. She's good at basically all points at all phases of the game. Every round. So I honestly would just make sure you're playing Viper on this map. I think Viper's strong in basically every map in the game, if not all maps in the game. So yeah, learning Viper would be something that is quite useful. Sova next. So Sova is really good once again at delaying plants or delaying diffuses from any position really with his Sova, with his shocks and his Hunter's Fury. And then we've got a very efficient ability in his drone. Can very efficiently take this box here and very efficiently take this box here. They both basically pseudo entry the area, and you basically clear everything in there. Really, really nice ability to have. Very, very efficient. You don't have to use any other ability if you don't need to with the Sova drone. So that's the reason why I think Sova is more core. I have seen the G2 versus EG game that was yesterday, where Sova wasn't played for EG, and yet they won 13-11. It was quite close. So I will be looking at that match and kind of drawing my own conclusions to like maybe why Sova wasn't really needed with that comp, or like if they could have fitted in or not. Although generally I would say that EG has some very smart players, some very smart coaching staff. Potter, for instance, I think that they're going to be, if they found a way to fit Sova in, they would have done it. Especially with Derek being a player in their team as well. I imagine if they could find a way to fit Sova in Icebox, they would have done it. But I want to have a look and look at that game. I will probably make a video on it in the future. Okay, so for Sage, she's basically in my core ranked because she just makes the game plan a lot easier. And in ranked, it's just nice to have the game plan to be easier because there's already a lot of variance in the game, and you don't want to increase the variance by playing some complicated strats. And Sage just simplifies things. So I just recommend playing Sage in ranked. I think when you start to get like Immortal 2+, maybe even higher than that, that's when you can start looking at more complicated things. But even then, like there's value in the simplicity, to even a point where you can see pro teams playing Sage. So honestly, like I would just say, like there are definitely times when Sage is not the right pick in this map, but for the most part, she's going to be core for majority of players. Next, we'll talk about Killjoy and Cham. I think I've got. So yeah, these are like the main like fringe picks, or like potential like situational type picks that you might see, or core duelist or whatever, right? So Killjoy is definitely the closest to core. She has a lot of ways to play. She has a lot of good ways to play, is what I mean to say. She has like the alarm bot turret combination for mid, and then she can hold orange herself, so she has everything covered here. She's really, really strong in like this sort of portion of the map. She has delay. She has post plant, and the post plant for attack for defense is really strong with the lockdown, because you don't really have to clear all this space. She can just clear it with lockdown. Especially good on B with this sort of lockdown as well. As long as they don't push it, you're in a really, really, really strong position to win the round. So Killjoy's really, really strong. Recommend playing her. She's basically core, if not core already. Next we have Chamber. Chamber's basically like a replacement type duelist. He's not really the greatest. I think he's pretty decent in ranked, but I wouldn't replace your duelist with him. He's basically just like a coin flip, take the first fight type of agent. He's definitely viable. Has like once again, he's really good with the operator, so he has some the operator lines that he can take that are really, really strong on this map. So he is strong. I personally would prefer Killjoy over him, but you can play him if you want. Next we have Deadlock. Deadlock is getting better for sure, and I think EG demonstrated that yesterday in their game versus G2. But I still think she has some problems. I think she has problems with attacking. I think she has problems with like some of her impact in portions of the round. Like the mid-rounding, for instance, on the attack specifically, can be a bit lackluster. I think her mid-rounding on defense can be quite good when paired with Killjoy though, where she can like barrier off the turret and that kind of stuff. Can be quite good. But yeah, as demonstrated yesterday. But I think Deadlock wouldn't be nearly as good if it wasn't like Georgimo playing it, to be honest. From yesterday. I think Georgimo definitely was good enough mechanically to show off the Deadlock too. So it definitely helped. And I think like not anyone could just play Deadlock in that situation. So I do think you should keep your eye on the Deadlock. She might become meta eventually with maybe some buffs. Brimstone, I think this is not really a ranked pick, but it's pretty good on the competitive or like pro play. So he has ways to delay with Incendiary and Orbital, which is really, really strong in post plant, right? To delay plants and that kind of stuff. Get kills with the plants as well, especially with the Orbital. Can be really, really strong. He has ways to be explosive. So he's not particularly good in like these early sort of boxes, but in the later boxes, so the ones on site, he can be explosive and just like drop his smokes like that, stim everyone, go, go, go. That's kind of like how he plays anyway. And he can be quite strong with that. When he's paired with Viper though, he does have the option to like play a bit slower and mid-round with his smokes a lot more, because then he can basically use 2 smokes to mid-round instead of 1, because the Viper can be covering like the site that they're going to take and that kind of stuff, right? Maybe you can use all 3 smokes to mid-round and that kind of stuff, right? So the Viper can save the orb for the actual post plant. She can place it here for the molly she's going to throw in post. So then basically all the way through the round, the Brimstone is placing this smoke here. That can be like an option for the Brimstone to be viable in the mid-round. So that's like a viable option. But I don't think you would do it in ranked. I think you're basically doing that in like Premier or Pro Play. I don't think you're ever going to do it when you're not coordinated. Harbor is pretty good. He does lack the defensive capabilities of Viper. So if you do want to replace him with Viper, bear in mind that you are not going to have the defensive capabilities. You're not going to have the viability in delaying post plant and also delaying the fuses as easily as Harbor. Where Harbor shines though is like he's able to take sites pretty decently. He's able to take space pretty decent with Cascade. He can dodge some operator lines with this Cascade, like this for instance. Can block a operator on this tight line here and force him to take maybe a shot through the wall, and then you can dodge that position. So he is quite good in that situation. He obviously has the cove as well, so he can place that down and plant within it to kind of replace Sage in a lot of ways. But generally, yeah, I wouldn't replace him with Viper, or the way around. Replace Viper with him. But he's a really nice like supplementary to Viper as well, with replacing the wall when the fuel goes down. So when that wall goes down, the fuel can go back up, or the Viper wall can go back up with the fuel. It's pretty good. Omen is next. I don't have too much on Omen, mainly because I don't really see him really as that viable on this map. He does have some like one-way type stuff. His TPs can be quite nice to get space, like on top of the tube or like on A, because there's a lot of verticality on A. But generally, I don't think he's really that good. I think the main problem he has is that just other controllers do more, and his post plant has always been kind of lackluster. So I do think that he's not really the greatest, but yeah. I recommend him if you want to like maybe have generally play like a 1-1-3 on the attack maybe, sorry, on defense maybe, and this one is going to be the Omen. Even though I don't see a reason why you would ever play Viper here, like not play Viper here, to be honest, in this 1-1-3. You can play the Omen here and op. That's like an option you have. You can play the Omen up on here, I guess, and op as well. But even then, you can't really. You'd have to do a 2-1-2 to do that potentially. So yeah, he's not really the greatest to fit in to comps on here, but he has some viability here for sure. He definitely has some viability. There's obviously more ways to play than just that, but at the basic level, I think he's decent, but not worth like learning to play on this map. I don't think, unless you're an own one trick. So then we've got ISO, Reyna, Yoru, and Neon, and essentially what I'll say for these is that they all have ways that they shine more than Jet and Raze on this map. Jet and Raze have a bit of a struggle with their pathing on attack. These agents don't have that. they definitely, although don't get me wrong, Jet has strength and attack from taking the first fight, for instance. Not attack, defense. From taking the first fight, for instance, she's still strong on this map, and she still has good pathings on this map. It's just that it might not be quite as viable as the ways that these agents can play. And the same with Raze. Raze, I think, is a bit more viable than Jet, ever so slightly. Even though she doesn't take that free first fight, she has a lot more util to like delay plants, right? She has these two util, even satchels to an extent, can help to delay plants, which is a lot more in line with the way Icebox tends to be played. But then you look at the rest of the agents, right? They have ways to kind of play this map quite well. For instance, Neon's pathing is really, really strong on A site. She also has a nice wall for B. The stuns are also really nice on A. And obviously the mobility is really nice because this map is actually quite rotation centric. When someone gets a lurk, they can hear all the rotations. You might get called for rotations a lot. So there is actually a decent chance that Neon's quite strong on this map. Bear in mind, she does have quite a bit of a learning curve though, especially for ranked. The ways to play her, she does need a lot of support she does need a lot of support basically. Yori is also an agent that kind of needs support, but he's not too bad. Like in ranked, he doesn't really need that support, but I think in competitive, he needs more support than in ranked. But he has a lot of util at his disposal. He can cheat timings as well, so he can cheat to TP across the map. Once again for that rotation. He also doesn't have to worry about pathing too much because he just has to put his TP to the place he needs it to go to, and he just goes there, like backside or whatever. He has nice flashes that are nice on the A terrain. He doesn't really have the verticality though, which is kind of sucks for him. Same with Neon, I guess. But you don't really need it too much I would say on this map in general. You don't need it too much. You just need the ability to take nice fights with a good util, and these agents do that. Either pathing boys or with a lot of util and a lot with flashes, and cheating like positioning on the map as well. Reyna and ISO have things in common, such as being able to snowball through the round. So they tend to be able to snowball with the more jewels they take. They tend to get stronger throughout the duel. So, well, especially ISO, he takes a jewel, and then as soon as he gets that shield, he has more health than any other agent in the game, because he has that 1 bullet worth of health. Reyna does have more health over the course of fights, but she has the chance of just getting 1-tapped as well. ISO doesn't quite have that chance. He doesn't have that 1-tap chance, but he has a 2-tap chance, I guess. So there's there are times when these agents kind of suck, but I think for the most part they do have other ways to be useful too. Aside from that, so ISO, for instance, has his ult. ISO can generally on this map you will see a lot of 1-1-3s, and this one means that ISO can get a really nice ult onto B, and your teammates just get B for free. That's really nice. Reyna as well has also a nice thing with Lear, and you'll see a lot of operator lines, as I've already talked about, over here like this, or over here like this. There's obviously other operator lines up here as well. Lear is really good at dealing with operators. If there's no support player to shoot the Lear, they have to either wait out the blind, which is super risky. They have to shoot the blind and reposition, which is really good for the attacker that threw the Lear, because they're off that upline. And that's it, right? That's like 2 really, really good outcomes for you. Is that they don't want to wait out the blind either. Like that's super, super risky, so they probably won't do it. And also if they do wait out the blind, then they do it wrong, they die. So they're not going to do that. So Rain is really good when fighting against operator players on like set lines like Iceboxes like this. Especially lines like this that are super like hard to get them off without them being blind or something like that. The Rain is really, really strong in that situation. Let's talk about KO and Gecko, the 2 initiators other than Sova. And I think KO is pretty straightforward. His silences are really, really strong. They can stop you being util dumped when planting, stop you being util dumped when you need to defuse. Pretty strong like that. So it forces them to actually duel you instead of throwing util on the bomb, or just like give up the site basically and let you plant. And then his fragment can help with post plant. It can also help with anti-flood. Anti-flood not as much on this map, but it's nice to have the molly to get people out of corners like this, for instance. So it can be quite nice to do for that sort of stuff too. His flash is also really versatile, can help teammates, can sort of throw it anywhere you kind of need to throw it. It's not as versatile as like a sky flash, for instance, where you can actually place it, but it has enough to it where you can actually like pop flash for teammates, pop flash for yourself, and do everything you need it to do. Basically, it serves its purpose. So that's good for KO. And then we got Gecko. So Gecko is new on this map. Basically, he's never been in the rotation of Icebox before, so it's really nice to have Gecko because his wingman is really quite strong. Is a replacement for Sage War. It can be not exactly strong. It is quite easy to kill, to be fair, but it's a way to like not risk yourself and also have all guns available and have all people available that are alive, without having to expend someone to plant the bomb, which is nice. It is nice on this map, and because that means you can contest people that are trying to contest the bomb plant, with multiple people that aren't just like one person planting the bomb. Gecko doesn't have to do that. Really, really nice to have. He also, the way that his dizzy functions, and his gecko, not gecko, his wingman functions, other than planting the bomb, is that you can pick them back up, right? And Thrash as well, I guess, right? But Thrash to a lesser extent because Thrash is an ult. But basically you can use it to take increments of space. So these two boxes are essentially 2 increments of space. So you can use Dizzy to take one, and then you can use Wingman to take the other. But obviously you can even break this down even further. Like you can break, for instance, on A, there's a breakpoint here too that you can do. So you can do like Dizzy for this, Wingman for this, and then Dizzy for this, and then Wingman can plant. Like, and it's quite fast. Like it's decently fast. Like, I'm guessing like you can basically do it like I would say you can probably get them back like anywhere between 12-15 seconds. And that's when you'll get the next use of Dizzy, basically, after you've used it the first time. Obviously, you have to kind of run to the orb to pick it up, right? So that's like the 15 seconds kind of comes from, or the 3 seconds to run there or whatever. And that's kind of maybe a bit strict, really. Like, he probably does get it back sooner. So he has really, really fast timings to take these increments of space. And in general, it could be a bit more efficient than Sova, which is why I think EG might be experimenting with the Gecko here, is that it might just be a bit more efficient and a bit faster than using the drone. It also means as well, like, drone is like one use as well, and Dizzy and Wingman and Thrash are all, well, Thrash is double use, but it's an ult, and Dizzy is unlimited, and so is Wingman, as long as you can pick them back up. So it means that you're risking a bit less if you have other devices to take that space back. Bear in mind, if he is played in combination with Sova, it means that Gecko can basically use his ability as like a non-committal version of the drone, in a sense, where you can commit the Dizzy, and then the orb's on the ground, and then if you can safely go take the orb, you go pick it back up, and then you can go do the same thing 10 seconds later. Or if you can't safely go pick it up, Sova can then commit his util to then go pick this up, and then you can use it again anyway. That's the reason why I think Gecko and Sova are going to be probably the premier like duo on this map eventually when we get to that point, because I think Gecko is really, really strong in this map. And that's kind of it for the like basic guide to Icebox. There is definitely some of my personal opinions in this as well with the agents. So with the agents, what I recommend doing if you want to get multiple opinions, go watch other videos and get a good idea of like what you actually want to play on this map. I have my personal understanding of not understanding, but my personal opinions on how good I think certain agents are. So I recommend go and get like a bunch of views and kind of collate them and make your own assessment. So yeah, that's it for the guide. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one.